Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, we are back with another episode, guys. Genesis chapter 16, continuing on the Bible series. We're making progress. We're learning new things every single day. Um, I wish I could post out maybe like 2, 3 a day, but hey, life gets busy, so one day is gonna have to do. So, all right, guys, let's get into it. Chapter 16. Now, Sar'ai, Abram's wife, bore him no children. Okay, she had an Egyptian maid whose name was Hagar. And Sarai said to Abram, "Quote, behold." So his wife was talking to Abram. Behold, now the Lord has prevented me. Okay, He's stopping me from bearing children. Go into my maid. Okay, go into one of my woman servants. She told him, it may be that I shall obtain children by her. She's like, you know what? The Lord is stopping me from having children. I'll give you one of my woman servants, and it'll be from that is how that I shall obtain my by children from her. And Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. So he hearkened to just pay attention. He listened very closely. I mean, it's his wife, right? So it makes sense. So and Abram hearkened to the voice of Sarai. So after Abram had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan. So whenever he was staying in the land, 10 years in the land of Canaan, Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, the Egyptian, her maid, right, and gave her to Abram, her husband, as a wife. So now he has two wives. And he went into Hagar. He went into her. So they did the thing, right? And she conceived. And when she saw that she had conceived, so whenever the maid girl, when let's just call her wife 1 and wife 2. Wife 1 is Sarai, wife 2 is Hagar. So when wife 2 saw that she had conceived, when she bore Abram's child, she looked with contempt on her mistress. So she looked like a piece. She looked at her like she was worthless. She looked at Sarai like, look at you. I gave my first try. I'm one of one, baby. He came into me, one of one. I gave him a kid, and I gave him a son. And she's looking at her, wife number 1, Sarai, like you're worthless. Like you don't even deserve to be there. Like I should be here, right? And keep in mind the whole time this is her woman servant. Like this is her maid. And so, and Sarai said to Abram, quote, may the wrong done to me be on you. I gave my maid to you, to your embrace. And when she saw that she had conceived, she looked on me with contempt. May the Lord judge between you and me. So she's saying, I gave her to you. I was trying to be so kind, so gracious. I was hoping you, and I was hoping her, right? Because Abram's a very wealthy man. Abram's a very rich and powerful man. And she has the title. She has the wife title of Abram. It's an honor, right? And she blessed her maid. How now she's not going to be a maid no more, right? She was a woman servant. She was a maid. She was probably most likely bought, or she was probably inherited because he had many different, slaves and workers with him. So there are children that were born with them. And she pretty much came from nothing, Hagar. And now because of Sarai, now she's kind of like the second wife of a very powerful man. So everything that she has, to a degree, in large part, is because of Sarai. And she blessed her and she helped her life. And then the moment she conceived, she looked at the person who helped her as a piece of shit. And so that's why she's all, She's like, I helped you and you did me so wrong, But Abram said to Sarai, behold, your maid is your power. Do to her as you please. And so he's saying, look, I get it. I hear you. She's your maid. You do what you want. I don't know. I don't care. I don't know. You're the one who told me. You're the one who told me to go into this woman. And I did. And now you're getting mad at me, And it's one of the first stories that we hear in the Bible where women just, they can't make up their mind. Okay. So then Sarai dealt harshly with her and she fled from her, right? So after Abram's like, you know what, hey, like that's your maid, that's your servant, you do what you want with her, right? Who am I to tell you what not to do with it? You're the one who told me to go into her and I did what you told me. Why are you getting mad at me? And we're dealing with the same things 3,000, 4,000 years later. Okay, let's get on topic. So then Sarai dealt harshly with her. So she was probably saying a lot of things rude to her, saying, "If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't be here." Chirping, chirping, chirping. And then so Hagar, she fled. She probably was like super sad, heartbroken, and she just fled. Uh, and it says, the angel of the Lord found her by a spring of water in the wilderness. So she left and she went somewhere in the wilderness, and an angel of the Lord found her. Okay, by a spring of water in the wilderness, the spring on the way to Shur. And he said, so it was a man angel. Quote, Hagar, maid of Sar'ai, where have you come from and where are you going? She said, quote, I am fleeing from my mistress Sar'ai. The angel of the Lord said to her, return to your mistress and submit to her. The angel of the Lord also said to her, quote, I will so greatly multiply your descendants that you cannot be that they cannot be numbered for multitude. Okay, so he's saying, look, uh where'd you come from? Where are you going? She's like, I'm fleeing from my mistress Sarai because she said some very hurtful things to me. I'm sad. And then the angel of the Lord, he said, return back to your mistress and submit to her. But then he also said, I will greatly multiply your descendants. So she was probably telling her, Sarai was probably telling Hagar, your, son or the child that you conceived with Abram, and all your descendants, they're going to be nothing. They're going to be slaves for the rest of your life, just like you were, just like we brought you. And so she was probably, threatening her, hurting her. And so the angel of the Lord is giving her assurance, saying, look, I will so greatly multiply your descendants that they cannot be numbered for multitude. So she's saying you're going to have so many descendants because of you when you go back and submit, okay? And the angel of the Lord said to her, behold, you are with child and shall bear a son. Okay, so the boy angel, said, you're going to have a son. You shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord has given heed to your affliction. Because the Lord has given heed to your suffering, because because of the thing that Sarah said it, because of her situationship, you could say. The Lord has given heed to your suffering. He shall be a wild ass of a man. He's probably gonna be a crazy dude. His hand against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen. So he's saying, he's gonna be a wild dude, a crazy dude. Everybody's gonna be with him. Everybody's hands that he's against will be against him, and he shall dwell over against all his kinsmen. So he's gonna be able to reign against all his blood, his kinsmen, his people. What is going on about his nations? How your son's gonna have nations of him, and he's gonna have kingdoms who are under his nation. So she called the man of the Lord who spoke to her. Thou art a God of seeing. He's like, are you a God of being able to like see the future? Like, well, who are you? Who are you to tell me this stuff? For she said, have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him? And she's like, damn, did I really just talk to an angel of the Lord? Or like this is crazy. What just happened to me, right? She just had a spiritual phenomenon happen in her life. She's like, oh my God, that this is, have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him? Like, have I really? Because I don't think, either probably the angel of the Lord said I'm an angel, or maybe not. Maybe the Holy Spirit came down and talked to her and she thought it was God. But regardless, it was a supernatural being from heaven. Have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him? So she's in shock after this. I don't think she. By the way I'm reading that, she probably didn't know that it was an angel. Somebody was talking to her, right? It was an angel. We know it was a boy angel, but at her point, whenever she was just speaking to the angel, she didn't know was it an angel or was it God. So she's saying, "Have I really seen God and remained alive after seeing him?" So she's just pretty much in shock and in awe that, oh my God, I saw, I was speaking. Now we know with an angel. Am I still alive and am I really seeing this? This is insane. Therefore, the well was called Bir Lahoir, which means the well. So that she went down to a well, okay, in the wilderness. Or maybe like, oh no, I'm sorry. The angel of the Lord found it. She was by a spring of water, okay? And so therefore the well was called, I guess they made a well after that, was called Bir La Haroi, which means the well of the living and one who sees me, right here. It lies between Kadash and Bered, and that's pretty special because I think when I was looking it up later on, there's another figure in the Bible that goes back to this well to listen to the Holy Spirit. Um, my camera's about to die, so I guess I'm gonna have to put a battery in real quick. So I think I can finish this actually pretty quick. And Hagar, let me finish this quick. Okay, my camera's about to die. And Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram called the name of his son, whom Hagar bore, Ishmael. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore Ishmael to Abram. So he was already kind of older, right? Before he had his first child. So that's the end of the chapter. But there's some things I want to talk about. Hopefully if my camera dies, my camera dies. So Abram was 86 years old when he had his first child. Think about that, right? Like that's kind of a long time, even back then. I know back then there were people were living hundreds and hundreds of years, but that's a pretty long time. But I think when I was thinking about this, and I was like, he had his first child at 80. He had his first child at 86. Why would God be telling Abram these things about he's gonna bless him? He's a very righteous man, but he hasn't even born him a son yet. But maybe it was for a deeper purpose, where it's like Abram, like think about this. Before this last chapter, chapter 15, go watch it. He wants to go save Lot, his nephew, and risk his life to go save him, and risk his men's life, and risk his entire empire at the time. Because remember, back at home, in Homer or whatever it was called, I don't remember the name. I'm forgetting the name. He had a vast land, cattle, a ranch, hundreds and hundreds of people working for him. He had like a little mini nation. So he risked everything, right? He risked his life. He risked his nation. He brought out his well-trained men to risk their lives to go save his nephew and his possessions. I think we're gonna do this one without video. It's okay. So yeah. And so it's like maybe the Lord he hasn't had a kid yet because there were still things he had to do in his life, and if he had a child, remember, because God moved Abram and his family from Ur of the Chaldeans to Hagar, the land of Hagar, and then from the land of Hagar, he moved down to Memory. Let me find it up here. Let me find it up here, brothers. Hold on, brother. Hold on. It's lagging a little bit. It's lagging. Okay, so cool. I think I can see this. So remember, it was the Ur of the Chaldeans, which is like right over here. He moved them to Hagan. Hagan's like somewhere over here, and then eventually he ended up in Mamre of Hebron. So maybe God purposefully denied and stopped him from having a child in the family because he's like, if this man has a family and child, he's not going to be able to do some of the things that I need him to do. And then secondly, one thing that I kind of looked at it and I thought was pretty interesting. It was it says so an angel came down. The angel of the Lord went to go talk to Hagar. And it's funny because the angel came down to talk to her and gave her promises. So I'm thinking it's either one or two things. One, did God go down? Did God tell the angel to go down to her, tell her these things? Okay. Saying, I give you on my behalf the right to be able to give her these things. Or two, did she do it on her own? The angel, him. Maybe the Lord said, hey, go speak to her. And then he went to go speak to her, but then he never got permission. He had the power. That's why my point is, did God give him the power, or does the angel on its own will have the power to be able to give these promises? Like it says, I was so great. So it says, go back to your mistress and submit to her. And then the angel of the Lord also said to her, I will so greatly multiply your descendants that they cannot be numbered for multitude. So he's saying, I will so greatly multiply your descendants. So it's like, does an angel of the Lord have the power to be able to do that on its own? I mean, the way I think about it, the way I read that is like it does. So it's interesting, right? Like maybe angels do have some power where they're able to, like it says, I will so greatly multiply your descendants that you cannot be numbered for they cannot be numbered for multitude. Which is pretty interesting because you would think only the Lord can do this, right? But only God can do this. But an angel of the Lord said this. So it goes to show that hey, maybe and maybe when we keep on reading on, we can give it some more evidence for this or not to this, but it's pretty interesting the way I look at that. Like the way I read that is like an angel can give such a blessing. Like that's how powerful they are. You know, it was either that or the other one. It was the Lord said, "Hey, go speak to her and give her these things and give her assurance that everything's gonna be okay, and tell her your son's generations are gonna be okay." Um, but that's pretty much it for chapter 16, guys. Hope you guys like it. Sorry for the camera to be dead. Next video, it'll all be charged up. So, hey, see you guys. Hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you next video for chapter 17.